Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel, because in this episode I'm going to discuss my top 5 things that I would consider before buying a blacksmith's leg vise. Okay, recently I was going past my favourite junk shop. They got all sorts of good stuff in there, and I like to pop in every now and again just in case they got something new. I went in one day, or almost a year ago now actually, and I saw sitting in the corner a 4-inch jawed blacksmith's leg vise. Of course I was immediately attracted to that, so over I went to go and have a look. Okay, so I'm checking out this little leg vise, and there are a number of considerations, but these are my top 5 things that I looked at before I decided to buy it. And I did actually buy it, by the way. I'm going to show you in a minute. And starting from the least most important, which will be the 5th consideration, up to number 1, which would be the only deal breaker, by the way, in the purchasing of this vise. I'll go through those things that I looked at and why I looked at them, and then hopefully that will help you out if you're just beginning in blacksmith, or you're thinking of buying a leg vise for your workshop, or whatever the case may be. Some of the things that you might look at, and some of the things that you might say, I can't buy this leg vise now, it's not for me. And be prepared to walk away from that deal, by the way. I've done that several times on leg vises. I've owned several of them over the years. I've used some myself, I've bought some for friends and that kind of thing. People I know that are on the lookout for one, and I spot one, I check it out and I go, this is a good deal, you should buy it. Okay, so just going to have a quick look over the leg vise now. For terms of my number 5, this is the lowest ranked one, but it's actually quite important, and that one is it all original? Are all the parts on this vise the parts that are supposed to come with it? Because, I mean, leg vises, they could be anything from 50 to 200 years old. I mean, they've seen a lot of service, and you don't really want to buy yourself one that's got a lot of bodged up bits on it that have been put together by somebody just so they can sell it to you. You really don't want that. You want one as original as you can get it, and with all of its original parts. We're going to have a quick look over this vise now, and I'm going to show you all the parts of it to see whether they're original or not. If you don't know whether these parts are original, one of the best things to do is to download a photograph of a leg vise, like an original one, like an original old set of plans or something. I've seen them on the net. Get that piece of paper, get it in your hands, go and have a look. And you can look at your bit of paper and you can go, yeah, that's supposed to be there, yeah, no! And then you can decide whether or not to buy it. So we'll have a quick look at this vise now. Okay, so here's the vise, starting at the top. Here's the screw box, that's all original. This is the screw, that's original. You got the 2 legs coming down, they're both original. The part that connects it to your bench, so the collar, it's got some wedges there. This part's all original. That's all good, all wrought iron. Beautiful, absolutely lovely. This is the original handle. This is the bolt. Sometimes that gets changed out. Check that out, that's original. And it's got a complete leg. It's not that important, but it is quite good to know that it's there. And it's got a collar here, and then a bit protruding below that so that it can be secured by a little collar that goes on sort of like that, onto the stump or to the bench that you're going to fit it on. Okay, so looking at the vise, I can tell the only part on this vise that's not original is this spring. See it coming down there like that, and it goes onto this leg. Its purpose is to push that leg away. When you open up your handle, it pushes the leg away. I can tell that this is not an original one. And there's 2 giveaways here. I've never seen one looped like that before. I looked at it and thought, oh, maybe the manufacturer has made it like that for some reason, I don't know. But the absolute dead giveaway is up in that little section there. This little bit of metal you can see there is supposed to be poking out that way. And that's what locks it into the collar. That's just sitting there like that. So someone has replaced this spring for some reason that I don't know why. But when I tested the vise, it still worked. So that's not going to be a deal breaker for me. I'm going to change this one later, but for now it can just stay there. Okay, so that was just a quick look over the vise there. Those were the first things that I noticed, the first things I looked at. I checked it for originality. I went right over it, and the only thing that's not original, as just shown, was that spring. That's not a deal breaker for me, because I can just make a spring, and I will make a spring for this, and I'll probably put that in a future video. But I can put this vise into service as it is now. Now that's quite important, because I want to get this whole project going. I want to get this blacksmith's workshop up and running, and I can just connect that vise to a post and start using it straight away. And then later on I can take it off and I can clean it up, I can make a new spring for it, and then I can refurbish it. I'll probably make a video of that as well. So that's my fifth most important thing. Is it all original? Okay, I've looked at that. The second thing that I looked at, and number 4 on my list of most important things to check out with this leg vise, are there any parts missing? From that footage I just showed you, and when we looked all over it there, you can tell there is nothing missing. It's absolutely complete. And so that was a good thing for me. It means I don't have to make anything for it. I've bought vices in the past. I've actually got a vise sitting over in the corner, a very large vise, a beautiful vise that I found that is missing several parts. None of those were deal breakers. I can make the parts for those. I can forge them. I can completely refurbish that vise, put it into service, and I'm going to do that as well. So that's number 5 and number 4. The third most important thing that I would look for when I'm buying a leg vise or evaluating a leg vise is jaw alignment. Now this is quite an important one. Again, it's not a deal breaker if it's within tolerance, if it's not too bad. When those jaws come together, and you need them to come together in a reasonable alignment to grip your work. That's what a vise does. It grips your work so you can do filing, so you can do a bit of punching, a twisting, so you've got to put it in there so you can twist things. You need those jaws to come together properly. When I checked this vise, when I first saw it and decided to buy it, I checked the vices in 2 separate planes. When those jaws come together, they need to come together like you don't want to come this way or this way as they come together. Neither do when you do up your handle, do you want one to be higher than the other one. So I've undone my vise. That was one of the first things. I stood it up, I unwound the handle so that they came apart like that. I did the handle back up again so they come back together, and coming back together in this plane, one of them was slightly misaligned. It's only misaligned by about maybe 2 to 3 millimeters. That's like a 1/16 or 1/8 or an inch. That's not a deal breaker. It's a little bit worn. Who knows how old this vise is? They don't even put a maker's name on it, let alone a date. As I say, it could be up to 200 years old, this thing. So it's in actually quite good condition for its age. So that was fine. So the other alignment is when you're winding on the handle and your 2 jaws come together like this. You don't want one higher or one lower. Usually what will happen is the outside one, the one with the handle on it, will normally dip if it's had excessive wear. And the reason it does that is the bolt that joins those 2 legs together at the bottom, it wears, because that vise is going in, out for hundreds of years perhaps, in, out, and that bolt starts to wear on the little hole that's on the inside of those 2 cheeks that are holding the one to the bench or to your post. That starts to become oval shaped, so that outside jaw starts to drop. So that was the other part of the jaw alignment that I looked at. So I wound the handle out, wound the handle back in again. I looked at it from the top to make sure they weren't shifted like that. I looked at it from the side to make sure one wasn't higher than the other one, and they weren't. Actually, the jaws on this are pretty good. There's a little bit of slop there, but as I said, it's not brand new straight out of the factory. These things are old. They've done a lot of work, some of them. This one's fine, so I'm not too concerned about that. So that's your jaw alignment. Now, the second most important one, at first when you think about this, you may think it's important. You might think, so what? But this is very important actually. Is the handle bent? The reason that handle becomes bent is because if you think about it, it's only a little thin piece of wrought iron. It's meant for hand pressure. So you put something in your vise, you push your handle down, it grips it. So how does that handle become bent then? And the handle on this one is bent. Red flag. That was why I was looking at it a lot more closely. It becomes bent because people push it with their foot. They put something into their vise, and they probably start hammering on it straight up and down, which is wrong anyway, but that's what usually they do. Starts to slip, and they think, I know, I'll just put my foot on that and I'll push it, and that'll grip it tighter, and then I'll be okay. Or, even worse than that, they'll get a piece of pipe put a piece of pipe on it, a cheetah bar as we call it over here, and they'll start leaning on it with a cheetah bar like that. What that does, there's a screw in one side and a screw box in the other. One's got a female thread, one's got a male thread, and it just binds all that thread up and starts to gall it. It starts to rub it off. It just wears it away excessively. So when I saw that that handle was bent, straight away I opened up the jaws and I went to my number one reason that you should be looking at this vise very, very closely before you purchase it. I checked out the threads on the screw. When I did check the threads on this one, they were fine. That screw was kind of perfectly straight like that. It had nice straight threads all the way across. You don't have to look in the inside the box by the way. You can just check the actual screw itself. They were nice and square, so I knew that it hadn't been overworked. Someone probably just bent the handle and, you know, whatever. But if that had been bowed, kind of bowed looking like that, it's kind of thinned out in the center and back out again and all the threads all chewed off, I would walk away from that vise and I would not buy it, because I don't have the expertise to fix it. I don't have the equipment to fix it. And even if I did, it would be incredibly expensive. Probably a lot more than what that vise is worth. I paid $135 Australian about 12 months ago before putting this video up, which is not an excessive price for a vise. I've seen a lot more expensive than that, and the big vise that I've got over there in the corner, I paid a good deal more for that, but I wanted that for a specific reason. So there you go. So those are my top 5 things that I look at when I'm buying a vise. Number 5, is it all original? Number 4, are there any parts missing off of it? Number 3, do the jaws line up reasonably straight, you know, reasonably straight? And then number 2, is the handle bent? And then numero uno, the deal breaker, is that screw damaged, worn, galled up and all useless? And if it is, I certainly wouldn't be buying it. So there you go, folks. This is just a very quick video that I wanted to put together because I've recently purchased this, well, reasonably recently purchased this vise. I'm going to put it into service. I'm going to put it out in my forge and I'm going to start working with it. And I just wanted to put together a little video just for if you are an absolute beginner to blacksmithing and you don't really know what to look for. I just wanted to pass on that little bit of information. And you know, and if you go out and buy yourself a vise or whatever the case may be, have a look at it, you decide to buy it, you think, yeah, that bit of information you gave me, that was really useful, it kind of helped me out, or maybe it stopped you from buying a vise, put a little comment in my comment box. I'd really love to hear from the people that are out there wanting to give this craft and hobby a bit of a go, and is the information that I'm handing over, is that useful to you? So that's about all I've got for you this time, folks. Thanks for watching my little video, and I hope it's been of some help to you, and I hope to see you again sometime on another video. Thanks for watching. See you later.